Let me ask you something you've been avoiding. When was the last time you were with people you're supposed to enjoy being around, and you felt like you couldn't breathe? Not literally, but that tightness in your chest, that knot in your stomach, that feeling of being trapped in your own skin. You know that feeling, right? Where you're smiling on the outside, but screaming on the inside. Here's what it looks like. Your friends make plans. Bro, let's hang out this Sunday. Party at my place! And you make up an excuse. Ah man, I'm busy. Maybe next time. But here's the thing. You're not actually busy. You have zero plans. You could go, but something inside you just doesn't want to. So you stay home, alone, and then the guilt hits. What's wrong with me? Why don't I want to see my friends anymore? Am I becoming antisocial? Am I depressed? Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant psychologists in history, studied this exact feeling. And what he discovered will change how you see everything. He found that most people don't actually want you to grow. They want you predictable, controllable, comfortable. And the moment you start evolving beyond them, they'll do everything in their power, disguised as concern, as love, as care, to pull you back down. Not with anger, not with violence, with guilt. We miss you. You've changed. Are you okay? All designed to make you feel like the problem. You're stuck between two thoughts right now. Either something's wrong with you, or everyone else is living in comfortable delusion, and you're the only one noticing. Jung would tell you it's the second one, and they know it. That's why they're panicking. Think about it. Why do your friends suddenly miss you the moment you stop showing up? Why does your family worry about your alone time, but never ask what you actually need? Why does everyone have advice about your solitude, but nobody's asking why you need it? Because your absence is forcing them to face something they've been avoiding. That maybe the life they're performing isn't as fulfilling as they claim. And you, by stepping back, are holding up a mirror. A mirror they desperately don't want to look into. But here's what Jung noticed. These same people, the moment you questioned their choices, the moment your energy didn't match theirs, the moment you said, "This doesn't feel right to me," they turned you into the problem. You're overthinking. Everyone else is fine with it. Why are you being difficult? Jung called this the double bind. They need you present, but only if you stay small. They want your company, but not your truth. They claim they love you, but punish you for evolving. And the most dangerous part? They make you feel guilty for noticing. You feel like the outsider. You feel like you're ruining the vibe. You feel like something's wrong with you. But Jung would tell you that confusion you feel, that's not weakness. That's your psyche recognizing a trap. Because your unconscious mind already knows what your conscious mind refuses to admit. These people, the ones who claim they love you, are suffocating your growth and calling it care. And the worst part? You believed them. But here's what I'm about to show you. How they manipulate you without knowing it. Why your sudden preference for alone time isn't random. And why that guilt you feel, it's their weapon, not your flaw. Because once you see the pattern Jung discovered, you can never unsee it. All right, let's expose what's really going on here. Jung discovered something that the self-help industry desperately doesn't want you to know. Because if you knew this, their entire business model collapses. He called it the shadow. And no, it's not your dark side or some spiritual mumbo-jumbo. It's way simpler and way more dangerous. The shadow is every part of you that doesn't fit the script. Your anger when you're supposed to be chill. Your ambition when you're supposed to be humble. Your need for space when you're supposed to be social. Your weird thoughts when you're supposed to be normal. Everything that makes you, you. But here's the trap. Society runs on predictability. Your boss needs you predictable. Your friends need you predictable. Even your family needs you predictable. Because unpredictable people are hard to control. So what do? They don't attack your shadow directly. That would be too obvious. Instead, they do something way more sinister. They reward your persona. Your persona is the mask you wear to fit in. The yes man at work who never pushes back. The fun friend who's always available for their drama. The good son who never questions family expectations. And here's the genius part. They make you believe the persona is you. You perform it so long, you forget it's a performance. Until one day, you're sitting with your friends at that party. Everyone's laughing, and you feel absolutely nothing. No connection, no joy, just emptiness. That's not depression. That's your shadow trying to break through the persona. It's saying, bro, we're done performing. But nobody taught you that. Instead, they taught you to feel guilty about it. What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. What's wrong is the 50 people around you who need you to keep pretending. Now watch what happens when you start to pull back. When you start choosing yourself over the performance. Suddenly, we miss you. Let me translate that for you. They miss their entertainment. You've changed. Real meaning, you're no longer controllable. Are you okay? What they're actually saying, get back in line. See the pattern? They don't actually care about you. They care about the version of you that serves them. And Jung exposed this perfectly. Most relationships aren't built on love. They're built on mutual performance agreements. I'll play my role if you play yours. But the moment you break character, the moment your shadow says, I'm done, watch how fast that unconditional love comes with conditions. Here's the part that'll make you uncomfortable. Right now, think about your closest friends. How many of them actually know you? Not your persona, you. Your actual thoughts, your actual fears, your actual dreams. Be honest. Most of them don't. Because you never showed them. Because the one time you tried, they made you feel weird about it. So you learned, keep the mask on. It's safer. And that's exactly what they want. A safe, predictable, controllable version of you. Jung would call this psychological slavery. I call it friendship in 2026. So when you suddenly prefer being alone, you're not isolating. You're escaping a performance you never auditioned for. And if that makes people uncomfortable, good. Uncomfortable people ask uncomfortable questions. Like, wait, am I performing too? And that's the last thing they want to face. Because if you can quit the show, what's stopping them? Now let me show you the exact playbook they use to keep you trapped. And I'm not talking about some evil conspiracy. I'm talking about your mom, your best friend, your partner, people who genuinely think they love you, but are unconsciously manipulating you to stay small. Here are the 3 tactics Jung identified. Tactic 1, the favor bank. You know this one? You set a boundary, you say no to something, and suddenly, wow, after I helped you move last year. Remember when I was there for you during your breakup? I've done so much for you, and this is how you repay me. They're calling in debts you didn't know you owed. Here's what's really happening. They're not reminding you of their kindness. They're reminding you of your obligation, because in their mind every favor was an investment, and now you're not giving them the return they expected. Watch this. Real friends give freely. Manipulators give strategically. And you can tell the difference by this simple test. Do they only remember their favors when you say no? Congratulations. You just discovered it was never friendship. It was a transaction disguised as love. And buddy, the interest rate is insane. Tactic 2, weaponized concern. This one's so smooth you won't even see it coming. You start choosing solitude, setting boundaries, changing your habits, and suddenly everyone's concerned. Hey man, I'm worried about you. You're not yourself lately. Is everything okay? You seem different. Sounds caring, right? Here's the test Jung would use. Where was this concern when you were overworking yourself to exhaustion? Silence. In a toxic relationship? Crickets. Following their advice that made you miserable? Zero concern. But the moment you stop attending their events, pursue something they don't understand, set a boundary that inconveniences them, suddenly they're worried. Let me translate what they're actually saying. You're behaving in ways I can't control, and I need you to feel bad about it so you come back. Real concern asks, what do you need? Fake concern demands, why aren't you who I need you to be? And here's the darkest part. They genuinely believe they care. They're not lying. They're just so used to you serving their needs, they can't tell the difference between love and control. Tactic 3, the social nuke. Okay, this is when they bring out the big guns. You're not falling for the guilt trips. You're not buying the fake concern. So they escalate. Everyone's talking about you, you know. People are starting to think you're weird. Nobody understands why you're being like this. Notice the language. Everyone. People. Nobody. They're making it sound like a collective judgment. But here's what Jung discovered. Everyone is usually just them. They're using the fear of social rejection as a weapon. Because humans are tribal, we're wired to fear exclusion, and they know it. So they threaten you with the one thing that terrifies you most, being cast out. But let me ask you something. If your growth cost you people who only wanted your performance, what exactly are you losing? Audience members pretending to be friends? Here's the truth they don't want you to realize. Most friend groups aren't friend groups. They're performance groups. Everyone playing their assigned role, the funny one, the responsible one, the crazy one, the quiet one. And the moment someone breaks character, the whole show falls apart. So they do everything to keep you in your role. Not because they love you, because they need the show to go on. Here's what all three tactics have in common. They frame your evolution as their crisis, your growth, their betrayal, your boundaries, their abandonment, your self-discovery, their loss. And the most insidious part? They genuinely feel like victims. They're not sitting in a dark room plotting against you. They actually feel hurt, confused, abandoned. In their mind, you changed the rules. You broke the unspoken contract. The contract where you stay small so they feel big. You stay confused so they feel wise. You stay trapped so they don't have to face their own cage. Jung said it perfectly. The most dangerous lies are the ones the liar believes. Your friends aren't evil masterminds. They're just unconscious. And unconscious people will do anything, including destroy your growth, to avoid waking up. Because here's what terrifies them. If you can break free, what's their excuse for staying? Now, before we go deeper, let me show you how to recognize if this is happening in your life right now. 3 tests. Be honest with yourself. Test 1, the energy audit. Simple question. After hanging out with your friends, how do you feel 2 hours later? Not during, not right after. When you're home, alone, decompressing, do you feel energized, like you just had real connection? Or exhausted, like you just finished a shift at work? If it's the second one, buddy, you don't have friends. You have an unpaid performance gig. Jung noticed this. You can be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. That's not introversion. That's your unconscious mind screaming, these people don't actually see us. Test 2, the silence experiment. Try this next time you're with them. Don't talk. Don't fill the silence. Don't perform your usual role. Just exist. Set a timer. I bet within 5 minutes someone will say, "You okay? You're quiet today." Now here's what's revealing about that question. They're not actually asking if you're okay. They're asking why you're not entertaining them. Because to them, your value isn't in your presence. It's in your performance. You're not a person. You're a content provider. And when the content stops, they panic. Test 3, the growth reaction. Think about the last time you read a book they don't read, pursued a goal they don't understand, questioned a belief they still hold, needed space they couldn't give. What was their reaction? Curiosity and support, or subtle comments about how you're changing or overthinking. If it's the second one, they don't want you to grow. They want you to grow up to their level, but never beyond. The moment you surpass them, suddenly you're losing yourself or being arrogant. Translation, you're no longer controllable and I don't like it. If you failed even one of these tests, what I'm about to show you next will explain why. Because this isn't just about your friends and family. This goes way deeper. Now here's what makes this truly sinister. This isn't random. This isn't just your friends and family being difficult. Society needs you to stay in your persona. Let me show you how deep the programming goes. Think about every institution you've been part of. Your family taught you, respect your elders, don't talk back. Translation, don't question authority. Your school taught you, follow the rules, don't disrupt the class. Translation, obedience matters more than critical thinking. Your religion taught you, be humble, be selfless, put others first. Translation, your needs don't matter, serve the collective. Your workplace teaches you, be a team player, don't rock the boat. Translation, Conformity gets rewarded. Independence gets punished. Your culture tells you, don't stand out, what will people think? Translation: social approval is more important than authenticity. See the pattern? Every single system you grew up in had the same message. Stay small, stay quiet, stay controllable. And they disguised it as virtue. Good kids don't question. Good students don't challenge. Good employees don't complain. Good people don't prioritize themselves. But here's what Jung understood. These systems don't want good people. They want obedient people. Because society runs on predictability, on worker bees who show up on time, on consumers who buy what they're told, on citizens who don't ask uncomfortable questions. And the moment you start integrating your shadow, the moment you start thinking independently, the moment you prioritize your truth over their comfort, you become dangerous to the system, not because you're violent or destructive, but because they can't control you anymore. You can't be controlled through guilt anymore. You can't be manipulated through shame. You can't be threatened with social rejection. And that terrifies them. Because if everyone did what you're doing, if everyone chose authenticity over performance, the entire system would collapse. Who would work the jobs they hate? Who would buy the things they don't need? Who would maintain relationships that drain them? Who would keep the machine running? So they use your friends and family, people who genuinely care about you, as enforcers. They don't know they're doing it. They think they're protecting you, but really, they're protecting the system that needs you to stay asleep. Jung called this the collective unconscious, the invisible force that keeps everyone in line, and your sudden preference for being alone. That's you breaking free from it. Now watch what happens when you actually resist. So what happens when you actually resist their manipulation? When you stop playing the game, Jung documented the exact patterns, and they'll make you unstoppable. Pattern 1, stop asking for explanations. When they ask why you're not coming, watch this. Most people say, I'm working on myself, or I need space to figure things out. Translation, please validate my decision. But when you simply say, I'm not available, with zero justification, the manipulation has nothing to grab onto. No explanation, no ammunition. They can't argue with a boundary that doesn't defend itself. Pattern 2, their labels lose power. They'll call you boring, changed, selfish, weird, and they're waiting for you to defend yourself. No, I'm not selfish, I just... Stop. When you say, yeah, maybe I have changed, or just say nothing at all, the label becomes an observation instead of an accusation. You've changed, I have. Conversation over. They expected a debate. You gave them acceptance. Game over. Pattern 3. Grey rock, the ultimate counter. When they deploy emotional manipulation, we're worried about you. I appreciate the concern. Everyone's been talking. Okay, you're not yourself. I feel fine. Notice what's happening. No emotion, no explanation, no performance. Just calm, neutral responses. They're expecting you to defend yourself, to feel guilty, to come back. When you don't, the manipulation loses its fuel. Jung observed this. Manipulators need your emotional reaction to maintain control. Remove the reaction, you remove their power. Pattern 4. The solitude shift. This alone time isn't wasted. Notice what you do with it. Not binge watching Netflix to numb out, but actually asking, what do I want? Not what they want. What do I want? Identifying your shadow. What parts of myself have I been hiding? Jung's process of individuation, becoming who you actually are, requires periods of isolation. You're not running away. You're running towards something. Pattern 5. The tribe recognition. You're not meant to be alone forever. You're meant to be alone until you find people who don't require you to perform. And here's what Jung discovered. They find you. Authentic people recognize each other because we're rare. We've all been through the same process of breaking free. And when you meet someone who doesn't guilt you for boundaries, celebrates your growth instead of fearing it, can sit in silence without discomfort, asks what do you need instead of why aren't you fun anymore, you know immediately. These people transform you by letting you be yourself, not by forcing you to be smaller. Jung said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, Both are transformed. Real relationships transform both people. Toxic ones only transform you into someone smaller. So yes, you'll lose people, but you'll gain yourself. And the people who can handle the real you, they're out there, waiting for you to stop performing so they can recognize you. Jung spent his entire life studying the human psyche, and he discovered something that will either terrify you or set you free. Most people never become who they actually are. They spend their entire lives being who others need them to be. And they call it love, connection, loyalty. But it's not. It's a prison with familiar faces. Your sudden preference for being alone, that's not the problem. That's the solution. You're not running away from connection. You're running away from performance. And there's a massive difference. Real solitude isn't loneliness. It's the space where you finally stop abandoning yourself for other people's comfort. It's where you integrate your shadow, where you stop performing your persona, where you become whole. But here's the part Jung warned about. Some people don't want transformation. They want transaction. They don't want to meet you. They want to use you. And the moment you become unusable, they'll make you feel guilty for it. So here's the question only you can answer. Are you going to keep performing for people who only love your mask? Or are you going to honor the part of you that's screaming for authenticity? Because Jung was right about one thing. The privilege of a lifetime is becoming who you truly are. But the price is losing everyone who loved who you were pretending to be. And most people aren't willing to pay it. Are you? Now here's what I need you to do. If this resonated, share it with someone who's struggling with the same thing. Because the more people who see this pattern, the harder it is for the unconscious ones to keep pretending. And drop a comment. What's one mask you're ready to take off? Because speaking your truth out loud, that's when the real shift begins. Next video, I'm exposing something even darker. The people who fight hardest against your freedom are often the ones who claim to love you most. And I'll show you exactly why. See you there. Until then, remember, your solitude isn't loneliness. It's freedom. And anyone who makes you feel guilty for choosing yourself was never really choosing you.